Welcome back to Beyond the Silence Whispers Across America. I'm Sammy, and tonight we are traveling to the heart of the American Midwest, to the riverside community of Mason City, Iowa. This is a place where the local news isn't just a broadcast. It's a neighborly visit every morning, a shared start to the day for thousands of families who wake up to the glow of their television sets. We are looking into one of the most famous and frustrating disappearances in television history, the 1995 vanishing of Jodi Huisentruit. This is a story of a rising star, a few panicked moments in a quiet parking lot, and a mystery that has transformed a local journalist into a national symbol of the missing. The year was 1995. Jodi Huisentruit was 27 years old. The morning anchor for KIMT-TV, originally from Long Prairie, Minnesota, Jodi was vibrant, ambitious, and possessed a charismatic, infectious energy that made her a household favorite across North Iowa. She was a golfer, a social butterfly, and a woman who lived her life with a sense of joyous urgency, always ready for the next adventure or the next big story. By the summer of 1995, her career was on an impressive upward trajectory, and her face was one of the most recognizable and trusted in the region. Jodi was a woman of routine, but also a woman of the moment. Her life was a whirlwind of early morning shifts, community events, and social gatherings, making her sudden absence on a humid, heavy Tuesday morning in June a catastrophic, unthinkable break in the broadcast that Mason City wasn't prepared for. The mystery began in the pre-dawn hours of Tuesday, June 27, 1995. Jodi was running late for her 6 a.m. shift, not an entirely unusual occurrence for her energetic but sometimes hectic lifestyle, but enough that her producer, Amy Kunz, called her apartment at 4:10 a.m. to wake her up. Jodi answered, sounding a bit groggy but hurried, promising she would be at the station shortly to lead the morning news. She showered, dressed, and headed out to her red Mazda Miata parked just outside her apartment building in the early morning stillness. She never arrived at the station. When the 6 a.m. news began and Jodi was nowhere to be found, Amy Kunz had to step in and fill the void, anchoring the very program Jodi was supposed to lead while the crew wondered if she had simply overslept again. By 7 a.m., police were called to the Key Apartments, where they discovered a scene that suggested a desperate, violent, and terrifying struggle. The rising morning sun revealed a chilling sight in the parking lot. Jodi's personal items, her hairdryer, her earrings, her iconic red high-heeled shoes, and her car keys were scattered haphazardly near her car. And there were unmistakable drag marks on the pavement and a bent car key that pointed toward a dark, predatory conclusion. The initial investigation was massive and immediate, involving local police, the Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation, and the FBI. Witnesses reported hearing a piercing scream around 4:30 a.m., a sound that cut through the silence of the neighborhood, and others recalled seeing a light-colored mid-sized van with its parking lights on idling in the lot at the time Jodi would have been leaving. Despite these leads and the recovery of a partial palm print on her car, the trail went cold before it even began. The window of opportunity for the abduction was incredibly, terrifyingly small. Roughly 10 minutes from the time she left her apartment to the time the scream was heard, suggesting a kidnapper who had either been meticulously watching her movements for some time or was an incredibly opportunistic, high-risk predator who knew her exact morning schedule. Over the last 30 years, the investigation into Jodi's disappearance has zigzagged through thousands of leads and dozens of persons of interest. One name that has surfaced repeatedly is John Vansice, an older friend of Jodi's who was the last person to see her alive at a water skiing party the night before she vanished. Vansice has always maintained his innocence and passed a polygraph test, yet he remains a focal point for amateur sleuths and private investigators who parse every detail of their friendship. Other theories have looked into the dark possibility of a stalker, a common and terrifying occupational hazard for female news anchors, or even a connection to a local serial rapist who was active in the region during that era. The ambiguity of the case is compounded by the total lack of any physical remains. Despite extensive, heart-wrenching searches of landfills, rivers, and rural properties across Iowa and Minnesota, Jodi Huisentruit has never been found, leaving her family and the community in a permanent, agonizing state of suspended grief. The disappearance of Jodi Huisentruit fundamentally changed the way news stations protect their talent, ushering in new security protocols and a loss of innocence for small-town journalists. It remains a definitive cold case that is revisited by national media every year. A haunting reminder that even those who tell us the news can become the headline in the blink of an eye. The KIMT studio has moved to a new location. The red Mazda Miata is long gone, and many of the original investigators have retired. But Jodi's face still looks out from billboards across Iowa. A silent, persistent plea for the truth. I'm Sammy, and I'll keep telling these stories because someone out there knows something, and for people like Jodi Huisentruit, silence should never be the end. The truth remains just out of reach, and the shadows around this case only grow deeper as the decades pass. Someone out there knows more than they have said, and one small, forgotten detail could finally crack everything wide open. What do you think is still hiding beneath the surface of this Midwestern mystery? Drop your theories below. Even the smallest clue can spark the breakthrough a family has waited 30 years to see. For more chilling mysteries and untold stories, tune in to Beyond the Silence, Whispers Across America on all major podcast platforms, or find us on Facebook. Until next time, listen closely, trust your instincts, and stay safe.